So I've gotten a lot of questions and comments about how I blend my eyeshadow, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but I think I've devised a way it's really easy and it's very fast. So if you want to see how I do it, keep watching. Alright, so I already primed my lids with the Amazing Cosmetics concealer, and then I just set it with like a nude shadow that's close to my skin tone. You can use translucent powder, it doesn't matter, basically anything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my MAC 217 brush, and I'm going to go into Makeup Geek Creme Brulee, which is just like a nice, like kind of a light to medium warm tone. I mean, if you're super fair, it's like a medium shade. And it's just kind of a nice starting shade. Alright, so I'm going to go into the crease, and I'm basically just going to focus it in the crease. I'm not going to worry too much about blending yet, because this is just like the initial shade to add a little bit of warmth. So I'm keeping it within my crease, just really lightly going back and forth in windshield wiper motions. And I'm not worrying too much about being precise. Alright, so that's the first color down, and I didn't really worry about like having it be super precise or super blended or anything because it's pretty light. So we're going to go back in and fix that. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with my FURLESS Cosmetics blending brush, this little guy right here. I love this little guy. And I'm going to go into Makeup Geek Barcelona Beach, this one right here. I love the, oh shit. And I'm going to focus that on the tip of the brush, and I'm just going to go right over Creme Brulee. Really lightly. Not before I was kind of just like all over the place. Now I'm just kind of focusing it more in the crease. And I'm just basically pushing my brush into my crease because I don't have like a super defined crease to begin with. I have hooded lids. So if you don't have like a really defined crease, you can kind of just shove that brush in and just feel like where it is. That looks really creepy. And just like push. So by doing that, you're kind of just like doing the work for you. Just kind of like going around your eyeball. Alright, so now I'm going to go into Makeup Geek Coco Bear, and I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm just going to tap the tip a little bit, and go back in to Barcelona Beach, like a mixture of Barcelona Beach and Creme Brulee. Alright, so I'm just going to tap into Barcelona, can you see this? I'm going to tap into Barcelona Beach once, and then into Creme Brulee twice, okay? And then tap it off. And the numbers that I just said don't matter. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going into a darker color, and to help the blending process, I'm tapping back into a lighter color. So when you go in with that brush, it's kind of like you've got that lighter color down, right? So the lighter color hits it first, and it just like morphs together so easily. Like it just works. I don't know. I was watching a Jaclyn Hill video a while back, and she was saying that if you go in with a darker color and then you feel like you need to blend, go back over it with a lighter color, which totally works. But sometimes I'll go in with like the darker color first, and it looks kind of choppy, and then I'll go back over it with a lighter color, and it does blend it out, but I feel like you can kind of still see that choppiness underneath it. So I sort of devised this process to eliminate that. It helps me anyway. And I'm just going basically the same deal, just building up the crease. I think it's best to build it up slowly, start with the lighter colors, and just build it up really slowly, especially if you're new to it. You don't want to just go in with like a dark brown in your crease because it's gonna look choppy. It's not gonna look right. now I'm going to take this little e.l.f. brush. It's called the Eye Crease Brush, and it's just a smaller little brush. I got this recently. It's $1. And I'm gonna go into Mocha, and I'm gonna kind of do the same process, but instead of going into Cocoa Bear, because these two are pretty close in value, if you squint at them, that's how you determine the value of shadows. If you squint at them, they look pretty similar, as opposed to like Poppy, you know? So I'm going to tap into that, and then I'm gonna go back into Barcelona Beach a little bit, tap it off, and then really focus it in the crease. So the darker we get, the smaller the brush gets. Okay, so now I'm going to darken it up a little bit more. So I'm going to use that same little e.l.f. brush. I'm gonna tap into Corrupt on the tip of the brush, and then I'm gonna go back into Cocoa Bear. You're kind of mixing on the brush and then going onto the crease rather than mixing on the crease, if that makes sense. Okay, and now because I feel like it got really dark in here, I'm going to take my MAC Cosmetics 217 brush, and I wiped it off on a paper towel, so it's like basically clean. And I'm just going to like buff that out in the inner part to blend it so it's not like way too harsh. Alright, so when I went in with Corrupt and Cocoa Bear, I feel like you can kind of see like that distinct line that I made with that brush. So I'm going to go back into Mocha. Nope, that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to go back into Barcelona Beach. No. I'm going to go in with a mixture of Barcelona Beach and Creme Brulee on my MAC 217 and just go over that. So then, like, this got real blown out, which I don't mind because I have a crap load of space up here to work with. But I always keep this little SONIA KASHUK brush. I don't know what this is. The 116 brush, and this is what I used to just set my lids with a nude powder. And I'm just going to kind of like buff this area because I feel like it went up a little bit too high. So you can go back in with a color that's like, or a shadow that's like basically the same color as your skin tone, if you feel like you need to erase anything or blend it out a little bit more. And that just kind of like brings that down, you know? Alright, so that's nice and blended, but I'm still kind of want to figure out the crease. So I'm going to go in with my FURLESS Cosmetics brush, blending brush, and I'm going to go in with Creme Brulee. I always tap off the brush a little bit so that you're not going in with way too much pigment. And I'm going to blend the edge of that crease out. Okay, so basically what you're doing is just laying down a light color, going over it with a darker color, and then when you go in with the darker color, you can tap back into that lighter color so that the transition is just, it makes it so much easier. Okay, so now I'm going to go onto the lower lash line, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the same colors. When I go into the lower lash line, I don't start with, like, I wouldn't start with Creme Brulee. I would usually jump right into Barcelona Beach, and then Cocoa Bear, and then Corrupt. But I do kind of the same process. So I like to use these two brushes by Real Techniques, shading brush and smudge brush, and they're basically the same brush, just one's a little bit larger and fluffier than the smudge brush. Wait, yeah, this is the shading brush, and this is the smudge brush. Smudge shading. So I'm gonna go in with a shading brush first, and I'm gonna pick up Barcelona Beach, and I'm gonna lay that down, and I'm just gonna basically like cover my whole under eye area. Not all of it, but like basically. And then I'm gonna go in with the same brush into Coco Bear. This is Coco Bear, right? I'm gonna focus it closer to the lash line, but because it's a larger brush, it's gonna kind of just do the blending into Barcelona Beach without a whole lot of work. See? It took like 5 seconds. Okay, so now I'm going to take the smudge brush and I'm going to tap into Corrupt and then go right back into Coco Bear. So I'm doing basically the same thing. And then I'm going to focus that like right on the lash line and staying towards the outer corner of it. And then if you feel like you need to blend that, you can go back in with the shading brush and just kind of like go over it real quick just to like blend out any harsh lines. All right, so that's like the basic process. Now if I wanted to finish this look, I would probably go, like I'm kind of feeling going in with Coco Bear and just covering the lid, which it'll blend so easily because we already have it in the crease. Same deal with like any shade that's close to any of these crease colors. If you wanted to go all over the lid, you know, it just like, it'll blend right in. Unless it's shimmery and then you don't necessarily want to do that because I don't love the way shimmer looks in the crease, but you can, teach their own. Or you could pop like a shimmer shade, like a light shimmer shade on, but you basically got the whole eye look done. And I mean, that was like, I don't even know how long that took, like 5 minutes probably. If I weren't speaking, it would take like 5 minutes to just real quick, top bottom, blended. Okay, so if that clip just ended like really abruptly, it's because my phone just stopped recording. Alright, so that's pretty much how I blend my shadow. You can see I just kind of went in with some matte shadows. I used a combination of Coco Bear, Barcelona Beach, and Unexpected, all by Makeup Geek, to go onto the lid. Super easy, really quick. I think it's like a really nice trick to blending out your shadow. When I first started, I only used e.l.f. brushes. That's it. That's all I used. I definitely think investing in good blending brushes really does make a difference. My life changed when I bought my MAC 217 brush. Like, it straight up changed. And, like, if you had the MAC 217 and then this like e.l.f. brush, you're good for like blending out your crease. Like, you're good. Because this is more precise and you can really get like pack in color, and then this guy, like, you can just blend everything out. So these are like, I honestly, if you just had these two brushes, you'd be set. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. It's pretty easy. It just takes a lot of practice, and I definitely think that brushes make a big difference. So, you know, if you don't have to spend a ton of money, you can go to Target and pick up like the e.l.f. crease brushes and work with those. They're fine. But once maybe you want to like invest in a nicer brush, I would recommend investing in like a nice blending brush. I think that really does make a difference. But don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money. It's less the products and it's more the technique. So I think that this really does make it a lot easier, and I would recommend, you know, playing around with it. Alright guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. These lashes. My feet are falling asleep. No, it's pretty comfortable. Don't push too hard. Hurt yourself. I actually really like it. I think it's badass. What the fuck? Can you see this? Whatever. Comments? What is this day about my eyeshadow? I have like no words. I have no words. Because I'm leaving.